Hello and welcome everybody to another episode, the final episode of the Hashgraph Hustlers special edition with the current participants in the Hedera Incubator. So for those of you who this is the first time you're watching, this is a special spin on my live stream series, Hashgraph Hustlers, which traditionally has been me, building something live, hustling live. The difference this time is rather than it being me building and me hustling, we have the hustlers from the ecosystem. We have two really exciting teams today. They've taken part in various hackathons in the past, and they're currently working in the incubator. They've just wrapped up, and we're going to have demo day next week. And these two teams are from all over the world. We've got a team based in the UK, team based in Japan, but the actual core team are also from South America. So it's really global, very, very, very diverse. And I guess without further ado, let's welcome all of the participants on the stage. How's everyone doing? Luis, Victor, Alex from Effisend, all good?
Great.
Yeah, good.
Thanks for having us.
Amazing. And then we've got the team, the boys from the UK, Tofu and Patrick over at Apex Audit. How are you guys doing?
Great. Thank you for having us.
Great.
Cheers. Amazing. So the structure for today, we're just going to sort of keep it quite casual. We should have a special guest joining us later on. I did just drop him a text. I'm pretty sure he said he was able to join. So we've got a special guest who's quite an OG in the Hedera ecosystem. For those of you who are wondering what that QR code in the top left is, that is a link to the ZEP space. And you can also see at the top, actually, that you can join us. So I'm just going to give a quick explanation in terms of what this ZEP space actually is. And for that, I will need to share my screen. So let me pull that up now. ZEP. Two, four, I should have done this before. There we go. So I've got this. Let me share my screen. You can see over here, this is the link to the ZEP space. And what this ZEP space will do, if the team, if you could also join this link, I'll drop it inside of our private chat. The ZEP space is basically, you can think of it as like a co-working space where all of us can join. And if there's anybody in the audience who wants to come and chat, ask you questions or anything like that, you can come in. I see Tofu's here. We've got Altaga. Who's Altaga? Is this Patrick?
It's me.
Is Victor?
Yeah.
How you doing, Victor? Hey. Got the Mexican hat on, yeah? There we go. So it's booming. We've got a lot of people up in here. And yeah, if you're in the audience, you want to join, you can head over here. We've got the link just above. I think that's a 0. And that's an O, I think. Capital O, yeah. 240. Or you can scan the QR code and you can come in and ask us questions, chat with the actual participants themselves. But let's go back over here. Unfortunately, we don't have backstage on today, so it's just me, and I'm not very good at this. I think we've got everyone here. Amazing. All right, we'll start with a few questions. Is someone not on the screen, or have we got everyone on the screen? There's someone who's missed. Alex is missed. No. Tofu's missing. Tofu's missing.
He'll get back on.
No, this is a Jake issue. This is a Jake issue. There we go.
Yeah. No.
Now he's back. So yeah, we're just going to do quick sort of introductions with the teams. I've got a couple of questions that I want to ask each of you. I think Effisend, you mentioned you're a bit tight on time, so let's start off with you. Just want to ask in one sentence, what does your protocol do?
Yeah, just trying to unmute myself there. So yeah, Effisend in just a sentence is building the operating system for high traffic venues. not just crypto payments, not just biometrics. The bigger vision is venue infrastructure, payments, identity, AI agents, reward, access, and also customer engagement working together in a high traffic venue. So yeah, that's like the TLDR.
Amazing. And I guess where did that idea come from? Because it seems quite niche, right? High traffic
Yeah.
venue. It's not sort of like I think it's a lucrative market. Don't get me wrong, but it's not your typical let's do something in that particular industry, right? Where did the idea come from?
Well, it really didn't come from like any particular place. It just appeared with opportunities that just actually showed themselves across our path. So we started just with face payments and agents, and that evolved into what Effisend became now because of just all the opportunities that like participating and winning some hackathons and some events along the the path have like just appeared, and yeah, we just jumped into those opportunities, tried to adapt our technologies into them, and that's what it evolved into.
Yeah, so you've basically been proper startup style, pivoting, going in one direction, getting feedback, finding the next opportunity, and sort of being led by customers and by actual users and opportunities, right?
Yeah, basically.
Amazing. That's really good to hear.
I think it's important just to have flexibility of your ideas and to adapt them as opportunities arise, because if you stick to something that may not work in the long run, so by not having flexibility, your startup and your team may just be dissolved as time passes.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess when I first met you a couple hackathons ago now, I remember you guys were serial hackers. You did a lot of hackathons. You won a lot of hackathons. Kind of seems like you've settled down a bit. Is that fair to say? You've got your projects and you're really doubling down on that, or is that wrong?
A little bit. I mean, we still think of hackathons as, let's call it as our sport in a way.
Yeah, your hobby.
We like to do them. We like the thrill of just participating and winning and actually proving our ideas in that marketplace, because I think hackathons have a place nowadays that AI is already up there and everyone can code something out of nothing like very easily and very fast. I think they still have a place just by actually proving at first ideas.
Yeah.
And after you prove your idea in a hackathon, well, the first proof is the judges, some of the judges in some hackathons are actually very into technology, are involved in the ecosystems. So by having them have some kind of, let's say, interest in your project, then you can quench the market a little bit, try it out, and have a little better idea instead of just having your own ideas and not being sure if they are valuable or not. So
yeah. So you can get good feedback, I guess, depending on the judge. I guess that sometimes the judge might be not offering the best feedback. Yeah. And then so let's looking at the incubator, the Hedera Incubator. What's been sort of the most useful thing that you've got out of it so far?
Yeah, actually, the feedback that you yourself and John Kiko has given us along these all these meetings that we have had with you guys, I mean, those are very valuable to us because they kind of actually woke ourselves up, because we were in a trance, just developing technology and just trying to give it to some customers. But from those meetings, we kind of pace ourselves a little bit and kind of develop a roadmap in order to progress even better along the lines that we have to develop into, instead of just producing and just talking to customers. I think that's not enough in the landscape today. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I think a big part of a real skill is the ability to execute. Right? It's so easy to just be sort of perpetually building and but actually getting that, customer pen signed ink on the paper, or obviously not ink on the paper anymore, but actually having that customer who's paying you, actually doing it, actually sort of taking that risk, right? That I guess it's almost that fear of getting over the fear of rejection, or what if they say no? What if do you know what I mean? But just doing it, it's a real big. It's a real skill. It's a very valuable skill for sure. Very high value skill.
Yeah, nowadays that we have all these AI tools, I think it's much more useful just to focus on that, because development and like even marketing and so many other stuff can be just automated via those tools. So
yeah. So I guess sort of specifically, I mean, we've not really gone into where you're at right now. It'd be quite interesting to sort of hear where you were 6 to 12 months ago. You briefly mentioned face payments, but let's also then go into the journey, right? Because you've come a long way. You've definitely embodied the art of the pivot, but I think for the right reasons, right? So let's just share to the audience where you were, let's say 6 to 12 months ago, and where you're at now.
Yeah, 6 months ago, we were actually in Mexico, just trying to get the idea, like just to gather some kind of traction along those lines. Our first kind of approach to that was to get some kind of new banking stuff going around in Latin America. And suddenly, out of nowhere, that opportunity to come to Tokyo to try out our technology arose. So then we changed everything because we had to adjust to a new market, a new like paradigm, and to adjust our technologies into the Japanese market in this case. So the Japanese market is quite different from the one in Latin America, but the value here is much different than there. So yeah, we had to make the pivots more on the side of like human relations and more on the side of product instead of just technology, because the technologies are pretty much the same. We're still using the same technologies, the same we have been refining them, but the work has been done like more on the human side, selling side, like just trying to get some money going and signing LOIs, signing partnerships, getting pilots going and so forth. So yes, right now we are, well, as you can see, this is the offices that actually the program in Tokyo Dome is providing us to like just deploy anything that we want related to the technologies that we use, and actually supporting us with, at this moment in time, with pilots in order to develop the startup. As we can see, what they have here is actually, let's say, a hub for startups to develop themselves within the Tokyo Dome ecosystems, because they want to compete with the biggest stadiums around the world. Yeah. So they want to be like the best, technologically speaking. For example, if you compare it to the Bayern Munich stadium of the one with the Real Madrid and so forth, Madison Square Garden, and even like Aztec Stadium in Mexico, they want to be that level of stadium. I think locally they have accomplished that, but internationally there's still very little people who knows what Tokyo Dome is and what they do.
Right.
So
well,
they want to
and that's a really good point, right? So there's very few people. I mean, for those who don't know, I'll give a really quick. I'll just bring it back to what you were saying earlier in terms of high traffic venues. Tokyo Dome, as with many events and stadiums, are examples of high traffic venues, right? You got, I mean, what's the capacity of Tokyo Dome?
Right now, I think there are like 65,000 plus. But 65, yeah,
but also isn't there like a village around it or something like that?
Yes, it's like a whole ecosystem of like restaurants, like fish hotel, like a lot of things, bowling alleys,
theme parks, right?
Yeah, theme parks.
So it's like when you add it all up, what, a couple of million people capacity?
They have like, when there's an event here, they have like 55,000 just every other day. So yeah, a lot of people. And if they have like a big event, let's say like a Lady Gaga concert or last March they had here the World Baseball Classic. They had up to 200,000 people just walking around. So
wow,
yeah,
okay.
in one day.
So
Yeah, because there is no only on the stadium. There is outside on the hotel around all Tokyo Dome City, because there is not only the stadium. There is a lot of amenities around Tokyo Dome.
And so they're really famous and popular in Japan, which is obviously a massive market
locally,
in and of itself. What are the things that are blocking them from making it become like Madison Square Garden, which is a globally recognized brand, able for anyone around the world to access and to experience? What are the things that are blocking it? And I guess how are Effisend and your work with Tokyo Dome looking to accomplish that?
Interestingly, one thing that we might, as Westerners and actually like people from elsewhere, think about Japan is that they are so technologically advanced and everything is working perfectly. But yeah, they are like at the edge on two areas, like semiconductors, especially chemicals to do them.
Yeah.
Maybe automotive, but not so much on app development. Their current apps and web apps are actually like kind of lame, like so far in the past, because they still use, for example, old technologies like fax just to like do business stuff. So yeah, one analogy that I always use for this is actually that whenever Japan was in the 1980s, they were living in the 2000s, but now that we are in the 2026, they are still living in the 2000s.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that's one thing, and actually that's part of why they wanted us here, because we are like pretty good mobile developers.
Yeah.
So they want our first application that we developed with them is actually a foreigner app, because that's the number one problem they have here in Tokyo Dome. They have an application just to showcase all the amenities and all the things that are happening within Tokyo Dome, but it's all written in Japanese, and foreigners are a huge part of the guys that actually come here and visit and spend money on Tokyo Dome, but they do not have anything with English well placed. So that was our first incumbent application with them. And yeah, we've been working with them to see what we can do with our technologies in order to like better displace and quite exploit some of the markets that are out there, like for the foreign market that comes here to visit in Tokyo Dome and actually spend money and so forth, which is not like actually just they aren't doing. Until we came, like they weren't doing anything of the sort. So I think that's part, because and in general, because the Japanese people do not have to like actually talk and know any English at all. They are kind of like very protective of their own of everything. So yes. That's number two.
It sounds like it's almost it's a lowering the barrier to entry to spend in Japan.
Yes.
But spending doesn't just mean paying money. It means reading what I need to pay for. It means knowing which shop to go to, and obviously using technology to do that. So what I'm going to do now, we've got our special guest in the backstage. Let's. I'm going to bring him in and. What I'm very excited to explore is how can we potentially, using some of the technologies that the special guest has, how can some of those be used? That they're very community, high traffic venue sort of orientated style. I want to see if there's any ideas that can emerge from this conversation. But without further ado, drum roll, please. Let me see if I can find a drum roll media asset on the. There's a lot of sounds available. I can't find one. I'm going to we'll put some tunes on in the background. We'll put some daydreaming daydreaming in the background. Anyway, without further ado, drum rolls. We have Mr. Alex Taylor, who's the CTO and founder of KPay. Alex, how are you doing?
All right, good. Thanks, Jake. Nice to see you all. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, Alex. I guess you're in the backstage just now. Do you want to share us a bit about yourself and I guess just first reaction from some of the stuff that Luis and the Effisend team were talking about?
Yeah, sure. So I've been a Hedera addict since the pandemic. So been building on various different projects. And it's been really exciting. One of the first ones was called KPay. Where I was exploring just the nature of like what the future of payments would look like. And where that's led me now is really a focus on community banking. So the idea is that rather than have this like one extreme or another, like centralized banking or, everyone holding their own keys, like in, the typical Web3 environment, you have this middle ground where you have these, communities can basically decide how to govern, the finances locally, which means, they can use services like Hedera Multisig, extremely powerful for governance, as the Hedera Council use and many projects use as well, which is quite a complex sort of bit of technology. So perhaps to use that individually is quite difficult, but on a community scale, it like opens up the possibilities of many new solutions. And the other thing with community banking is you can kind of, create your own kind of voucher system or whatever kind of economy you want to experiment with. You can do that because you've got the local control to do that. And obviously with Hedera, with the Hedera token service, you've got all of these compliance keys. So you can also build it in collaboration with central government to say, look, we've got this model that ticks all the boxes regarding tax, compliance, safety, all of these things. And yet we're able to manage it locally, which brings, community benefits, keeps money circulating locally. And crucially, something that I've come to find out a lot about recently is security with things like fraud, right? There's a lot of like international fraud funds just flying all over the place. Now with community banking, you can set up clear boundaries about where funds can move, how free you can have it, as free as you want or as restricted as you want. You've got that choice. So it's not just about taking one extreme, which is like, fully centralized control banking versus extreme, everyone controls their own funds. There is a hybrid approach that's possible. And that's the space that I'm really keen to explore.
And I remember, I guess just before I ask that question, a little bit of a fun fact. I think it's fair to say that Alex is the reason why I'm here right now, because Alex actually reached out to me about almost 5 years ago now, just after COVID, back when I was posting these videos on Hedera on how to pair your Hashpack wallet to a Hedera dApp. And he basically hired me for his projects, and that's what really got me into the Hedera ecosystem. So I want to share my appreciation to Alex. Like I said, he's a real OG, and those of you who've been in the ecosystem for a few years, you would have heard of GoMint. They've got some pretty iconic tech. I mean, they created NFTs before NFTs were possible on the Hedera network, before the HIP for NFTs came out, just by doing fungible tokens with the decimals of 0, and very innovative stuff. But Alex, one of the we caught up a while ago, and I think you mentioned you've got this sort of treasury hunt type, treasury hunt protocol, which I immediately drew parallels, and I think maybe the Effisend team can expand upon this. But it sounded a lot like with some paper-based systems that Japan already often use. So I might be wrong, and again, Effisend, if you want to jump in and correct me. From what I understand is like there's a really popular cultural game in Japan where kids have like a paper, and they go to different shops, and then the shopkeeper ticks a box or stamps it or whatever it is, and then it's like collecting points and vouchers. And Alex has got the tokenized version of that. And obviously with the sort of ecosystem that you're building at Effisend, the sandbox that you're working with, you've got not just yourself, but the other startup and entrepreneurs. I wanted to basically explore, is there a way that we can leverage some of this technology with some of your partners and see if we can create a digital version of this existing manual thing?
No, you're right there, Jake. There are a couple of treasure hunt kind of projects that I was involved with. One, it was originally like to encourage people in the community to get out and walk more, and to help promote the community by, like, if they follow a certain trail, they can pick up vouchers along the route and they can spend them in the town. So that worked with what I'd call it could be paper based. Basically, the voucher, KPI voucher is a signed promise of a transaction, an atomic transaction on Hedera. So you can convert that into a QR code, just like a check in the old days, take it to the bank, cash it, right? So it can work paper based. And we ran a little trial in Bangladesh as well. It wasn't quite a treasure hunt, but it was location specific. So employees of a company could get vouchers for their canteen, but they could only claim them if they went to a certain cafe to pick them up. And so there was like a location-based check on the app, and they had to put in a code that the shopkeeper gave them optionally. And then they got the voucher and they could go and spend it. So there's a few little things we played around with. Those are kind of little community experiments, but if that links in with anything you're doing, more than happy to share it.
Effisend team, what do you think?
Yeah, on that line, actually, I don't think it's only the kids that are doing that. Actually, I think everyone does it. And yeah, they have this tradition of gathering points for everything. When there's a supermarket, they are very keen on using every kind of discount they can get their hands on. So yeah, those kind of games are very part of the cultures. And yeah, I think a digital form of that would be in order. I'm just very, let's say, I'm not very keen on maybe the adoption side, because they stick to old ways. So it probably has to have a very great deal of education included in it. So yes, just my 2 cents. I think it's a way to actually, but we'll see, because yeah, they still use pen and paper for most of them, and they want to stamp everything into a little notebook. So yeah.
Have you heard of Clay Code? It's a fun little alternative to a QR code. It actually looks like a drawing, and I believe the technology, you could actually draw a clay code. If you Google it, it's an Italian research project. It was only published last year. But it's really fun, because instead of being a QR code, you can morph it to any shape you want, or you could even draw it by hand, and you can scan it. So I've got a scanner for clay code, which you can use, which, if someone is really artistic or paper based, you could actually create kind of clay code vouchers. And I don't know, it's when I saw it, it was really, I got quite excited, because a lot of the things with QR codes, is a lot of suspicion about, where's that taking you, or it looks quite kind of techie. Whereas a clay code, you can design it like a piece of artwork, and you can just enjoy looking at it, but you can also scan it.
No, I'm just sorry. I think it's this one over here, right? Clay code, stylable and deformable 2D stylable codes.
That's the one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you see the designs, you can do quite fun stuff, and they look, you can blend art with a QR code in a way that I don't think has been done before this.
Interesting, yeah. So it's maths, okay.
It's basically to do with closed loops. So it's like you're drawing loops inside loops, and when you scan it, it's doing a mathematical check on how many, binary check on how many loops are nested.
Yeah. So it's like a fun twist on. I mean, presumably the risks are the same as QR codes.
Yeah, exactly. Although because it's not well supported, that's kind of at the moment it's a blessing, because you'd have to have the scanner on your own app.
Right. Okay.
Like if someone just points their phone at it, it won't do anything because phones don't know what it is.
Yeah. Sure.
So you'd have to say, open the, your go to the site manually and then scan it. So it's kind of, it's perhaps safer in that sense.
Yeah. You've got it's like a being gate kept sort of. Interesting.
But anyway, yeah, I just thought because of the paper based, it's like a bit more like touchy feely, and I haven't tried it, but I think you can just draw a clay code yourself and scan it with the app, and it will come up with a code. Because it's just a visual encoding of circles.
But so if I drew like 5 circles, they'd all be a slightly different clay code.
I think so. Yeah, it depends on the parameters you set up, but it's a kind of counting how many shapes there are and how many are nested, like it's multi-level. So if you nest a clay code in another clay code, you'll get a more complex one.
Luis, did you mention that there's someone already in your sandbox who are looking to do the virtual treasure hunts, digital treasure hunts?
Yeah. They're called LootGo, and they're like in several ecosystems. So yeah, they are part of this, let's say, incubator that we have here in Tokyo Dome. So yeah, I think but they are, I think, actually pretty far ahead. Like they have the application, they are already live. They done a token, I think. So actually, like an ICO and everything. So they're kind of very far ahead. So yes.
And have they been able to get adoption, or are they facing the same issues you just described in that?
Actually, same issues, and actually they are pivoting into becoming a neobank. So yeah.
Big pivot.
But I mean, they developed the technology and everything, and will be trying it out like in some pilots here, but they seem to be like very reserved about their success here. So yeah.
Right, it's worth exploring for sure.
Yeah.
We've got obviously Tofu and Patrick, who've been waiting very patiently. Thank you very much, Tofu and Patrick. I'm gonna hand the mic over to you guys so we can find out a bit more about Apex. And I know, Luis, you meant, I think I could tell it looks like the event started, right? I could see you.
Yeah, in a little bit. I'm just waiting for them to like kick me out of here, but yeah.
You look a bit on edge. You're like checking over your shoulder every now and again. Let's head over to the Apex Audit team. I'm going to ask you a few similar questions to what I asked to Effisend. In one sentence, what does your protocol do?
Yeah, we got to distill it to one sentence now. We would say the compliance layer for reasoning systems in the intelligence age, and that's what we're building, and we're building from first principles.
Okay, put a bit more specificity on that, because
yes.
I get the drift, but someone new might not.
Yep. So to give more context to that, we're building compliance infrastructure for enterprise AI systems, and we're having to rethink how we build and look at that as regulations come on. And the Hedera network's been a key player and driver in that, and we're looking to take that forward in a partnership and build these systems in organizations. So what we're leveraging is decentralized blockchain systems to build like tamper-evident audit trails for AI systems, which is very, very important at this age where you have reasoning systems that you don't get the same outputs with the same inputs from the systems because they're reasoning and they're sentient in some sense. So we're trying to combat that, but traditionally with deterministic systems, you have had that we do compliance as an afterthought. You gather this file of logs, you upload it on this monitoring dashboard, and then they know if the regulator comes to you and say they don't trust your logs, you just go back to the system that you built and sort of walk through it. Same inputs gets the same output, and that's your proof. But that's not possible in this age of intelligent systems. So we're trying to combat that by embedding runtime compliance audit trails that is tagged to the blockchain records with a timestamp that is immutable, and you can't rewrite, you can't change, and it's public. So it's something that regulators can trust with those records, and they're so intricately tied that you change any single thing on those other records, just a full stop, integrity is lost. And it's not dependent on any organization or any institution, which is where it stands out, because traditionally you've had all these compliance platforms that promise you compliance with regulation, but it's still dependent on you trusting them to keep your data safely and encrypt it and not manipulate it. And also with organizations themselves doing the same when they're recording those logs. But now we have a system that works at runtime autonomously, creates these log systems and pin it to the Hedera blockchain all automatically with hashes, and there's no human action in the loop, there's no interference in the loop, it's one smooth transaction. So we kind of think of it as like transactions. That's the word we've made up for each end-to-end documentation of a task, because they're all embedded in nested hashes and using microtrees.
Yeah, and then where did the idea come from? What was the?
I think it's one of the most exciting experiences I've had this year. So it came off the back of the Hedera Hackathon in London, with the LSE and Hedera Hackathon, 2 days of it on agentic societies. And over the 2 days, 48 hours, it was in the last 4 hours, we stumbled on this ideal idea and built it on Rush, having no sleep overnight and sleeping over in the library. And it just stood out to us as a problem that was very real that needed solving. And it was coming from like experiences with colleagues that work. It started from the caseworker space. So he had a friend that works as a caseworker. I work in government also, and a friend. So having the experience of knowing that they rely on AI systems a lot, and regulation is going to come on that would affect how they're able to use these systems in enterprises. And the system becomes more competent, the regulation affects it so much more in that once the regulation comes in play, we don't have the compliance infrastructure to mitigate or allow enterprises to use it without fining. And we're looking at 36 million euros in fines, or 7% of global revenue, which is a huge shortfall for any organization of any size.
So I'm just going to jump in here, because I know a lot of people listening probably would don't know what specific regulation you're talking about.
Of course.
Tell us a bit about what's coming, like literally right around the corner, and why this is particularly pressing.
Yes. So the regulation we're addressing is the EU AI Act, because that's the most impending one. And which is a funny, for context, the EU AI Act was going to be fully enforced August 2026 this year, but the government have pushed it to next year because there's no infrastructure to fully implement these regulations. And they have a deadline by the end of next year to fully implement that, and we're trying to meet that in market. So the EU AI Act is that sort of regulation layer that every other country is looking up to, because I know following the fact that the EU AI Act is coming out, the US is also giving an announcement from the president's office that they'll be giving some regulations out, and the UK likely also is keeping a close eye on that and how that plays out. And that's sort of like the standard out there now that everyone is adjusting and shaping the organizational enterprise solutions around and trying to meet that. And it has clear regulations around high risk systems with human oversight and tamper evident audit trails, which is the key problem that the incumbents are trying to solve. Because they're trying to use traditional knowledge of compliance to solve new problems, and it's almost like an age shift. It's not the same system, so the same solution would not work again. So you have to think about it from first principles. What are you trying to solve, and then build innovative solutions to meet that. And that's what we're doing at Apex.
Nicely said. Yeah, that's really well summarized. So let's sort of look at it from the incubator perspective. I'm interested in hearing what's your experience during the incubator in the last few weeks. What's been the single most useful thing that you've got from the incubator so far?
It's been quite the journey. I think before we go on the incubator, we had a catch up with him. We're like, we're going to do a year's work within a month. And we thought, yeah, of course, let's do it. And we were not ready for what was to come, because we've had 2 pivots since we were in the incubator. We've had to be very aggressive in reaching out to people. And it's quite difficult because we're looking at enterprise customers. So trying to get customer feedback, trying to understand the real pain and problems in the market and try to adjust the solution. So if you remember vividly, from the hackathon, we created first an AI tool with embedded compliance to solve a problem in the legal space. And we thought that was it was too niche and too embedded into like a specific area that it was sort of restricting the actual technology we're building. And looking at the problem in organization stuff, there's more friction to adopting a whole AI tool because you already have in-house built systems in most organizations now. And the real problem was the compliance layer. So we had to go back to the drawing board and really reimagine, how do we build this? And we thought to say, okay, we're going to give them a compliance infrastructure, as the incumbents have been doing, and trying to remodel that to the solution we have. And we came back to the drawing board again, realizing that would not work. We can't just do a compliance platform, and we really need to dig deep to sort of say, okay, let's forget what happens in the industry and really think about this from first principle. What problem are we trying to solve? How does this system work? And we went on that journey arc of sort of understanding the system, and the incubator really pushed us to do that, because we had our mentor between yourself and Lindsay to sort of keep giving us feedback, like, guys, go back and really talk to users and go back and think about the technology and really focus on the problem you're solving and not what the industry is doing, and then work from there. And that's really pushed us to have a prototype we're very proud of today.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. So by the sounds of it, yeah, when you did your first demo in the hackathon a couple of months ago, it was like the AI layer was part of your application, but you're sort of saying, actually, no, businesses already have the AI layer. So you need to now figure out how you can actually integrate with it across different people's tech stacks. Is that right? Did I
Exactly that. Yes.
The way we looked at it is we need to be model agnostic, right? Because a lot of companies, you have the staples like Anthropic, or you have the staples like perhaps even companies in France have Mistral, you have OpenAI, obviously. And rather than changing the cemented habit of having you to change to different models, because that's what we're using, it's better for us to go towards you and really see what you're already using and embed ourselves into that. But the incubator has been, as Tofu said, it's been amazing. It's crazy, we'll call every day, and sometimes we'll just think, it's crazy what we've been able to achieve in the space of 4 weeks. And going into it, we had no idea that you could sort of do so much. Some of the things Tofu mentioned is talking to customers. It's really thinking from first principles about the service and the product that we're offering. And I think out of it is set the pace for part of the culture of Apex Audit, which is like this aspect and habit of speed. And that comes from being, you can thank the incubator for sort of setting the stage for that.
Giving you the push, giving you the momentum to, Exactly. Brilliant. So I'm interested then, because we've Patrick, you and I, we spoke a bit about sort of go-to-market strategy, and I guess this EU AI Act, this applies to any legal business, X business, Y business, right? It's not just the big multinationals. So in terms of your approach when it comes to targeting customers, what type of audience have you been speaking to and trying to speak to? Have you been trying to speak to the big guys, or have you been trying to find a niche in maybe some like a smaller size teams? What's been working for you?
Yeah, I'll say a bit about it, and then maybe Tofu could add on to it. But we've really looked at getting a niche, right? The product that we're offering is, or rather the market that we're targeting, it's somewhat of a niche, and then obviously from a vision and growth standpoint is to go outwards. But yeah, we're looking at niche. It's primarily we're looking at law firms, because we think that it's the best approach when coming into to sort of from an education standpoint. They maybe have an understanding. They'll already be aware of the regulatory sort of things that are coming into play, and some of them, from speaking to customers, some of them are not so tech savvy, in a sense that they know about AI, they know about ChatGPT and everything, but they don't actually understand what goes on behind it, right? So from a regulatory standpoint, they're well aware. From a tech standpoint, maybe not so much. And so that's where we think we can kind of come in, and then later on move into other markets or sectors that are a lot bigger and are more conscious of like the regulatory space.
Yeah. Interesting. So there's definitely a gap. I mean, when you're sort of engineers like all of us are, we're pretty much like 2 years ahead from everyone else. I mean, a lot of people are still finding out that ChatGPT can search the web. It's like, oh wow, it can do web search. It's now hallucinations aren't an issue. Whereas, I mean, on the Hashgraph Hustlers episode yesterday, we were with Prism Marketplace, and we were doing like, I had Claude Code up, and I was spinning up all of these sub agents and doing like a lot of, just getting like parallel agents to work with each other and all that sort of stuff. And that's not a representative sample of the of the broader population. I want to open it up to Effisend and to Alex. I'm interested in hearing sort of your thoughts on the Apex product. I mean, is there any other use cases maybe within your contexts or any sort of any ideas that were floating around your heads in terms of areas where that tech could be applied?
Yeah, it sounds like a great project. Something that chimes a little bit with me on something I'm working with on KPay is about replayability of intention. So in one of the processes we've got, in a traditional market, for example, you might post an order, a simple buy, sell order or something. But in a richer sort of AI market, it can be multi-asset, multi-party. And the question may come up like, how do you check the intention or the how was that order created in the first place? So that there needs to be a trace going back to see, okay, what were the models used if it was AI? What were the inputs? All that kind of thing, because that order will go through a number of approval processes, which might include humans and AI agents. But in order for that to all be done safely, that whole sort of supply chain needs to have a provenance, traceability to it. So I think it sounds like Apex Audit is a really important project, and I can see how that would link into a lot of different areas. But yeah.
Have you been able to sort of explore a solution for that, Alex? Or is it just sort of backlog item, need to get there someday?
It is a backlog item, partly because there's a kind of a two-part release with the product I'm looking at. One, initially it's for human traders, right, to play with and interact with each other, but it's a WebSocket based solution, so an agent can connect in. Now if you're a human in a trading environment, and there's a whole load of agents there as well, like you need to be able to check, like, where's all this stuff come from, how have they created these orders, what's the intention behind it. So I think being able to get visibility on that for both humans and agents will become really important. But it's not something I've looked into, but it's interesting to make this connection now, because I can see that down the line it's like, okay, that missing piece is getting, people are looking at that.
I wonder, Tofu Patrick, do you think would you ever be happy to give Alex a call and see if you can help build that the audit layer of his multi-transaction?
Definitely, I think that's something that we can look into, because that's something exactly that we're addressing, which is that provenance layer. Because the other records we are sort of keeping is not like traditional systems where it's just the outcomes. We are keeping the input into the reasoning and the intention, the reference sources, and then the decision that was made. So you have that breakdown on that audit log of, this is the reasoning that this AI agent went through to reach this decision. This was his decision, and this was the input that brought it there, and this was the output. And any human interactions also in the loop, because I know regulation requires for some elements for human oversight. So where necessary, the transaction doesn't end until there's a human oversight on that. And in some cases where your use case might not be necessary, we can also have that transaction ending at the point where that agent completes his transaction. And then you have that nicely packaged and tagged to a public blockchain that you can say very safely, this is exactly what has happened, and this was the intention, and this was the decision. And you can pull that up anytime, and anyone will trust it because it's not linked to any organization's integrity.
I mean, the other thing, just to add on quickly, is sort of going back into the reason why we chose this to be embedded is, if you there's the whole talk about Fable 5 and everything. If an organization is set up their AI workflow to work a certain way, and an LLM provider releases a new version, it could potentially change, like Tofu said, the reasoning of that model. And so you yourself, in the organization, you think, okay, they just released a new model. Surely that's not going to affect me, but who knows? Like, at this point, it's very much, I guess, playing it by ear. So what we're doing is part of what we're doing is we're protecting the people, the organizations rather, from any kind of changes that might happen at that level. Again, by being able to log, you can see, okay, they released Fable 5 2 weeks ago. Here are where the changes happen in comparison to 2 months ago, perhaps.
Yeah, thanks a lot for clarifying that. I wanted to just quickly share a bit more context on this project that Alex was talking about, because I think it's a really cool one. I've got it shared on my screen now. I think I can, well, you can find it yourself on this URL, but it's basically a multi-asset, multi-party transaction engine, which uses Hedera to, rather than doing a traditional two-sided transaction, I want to sell pounds and buy dollars. Actually, what if you can have these multi-party transactions where I might just want to buy dollars, but I've got a water bottle to sell, and somebody else wants to buy a water bottle, but he's got a TV to sell, and then somebody else has got a TV that they want to buy, and then you can sort of have these multi-party transactions where you're not having to find a perfect match, but you've got this system which does the matching for you, and I guess ultimately makes markets more liquid, right? Did I explain that well, Alex?
Yeah, no, exactly that, Jake. Yeah, the closest thing that there would be to Web3 for that is coincidence of one, COW, kind of global matching of multi-party intent. So, I mean, one of the reasons we do simple binary exchanges is because money is quite a convenient thing to use. We can think about it mentally, but AI agents can think in dimensions well beyond what we're doing. But if we can communicate our intentions clearly, those can be turned into, multi-party, multi-asset transactions that are optimized for across the board. And Hedera is perfectly placed for that, being, native atomic swaps, multi-signatory accounts, Hedera token service. So, it's perfect place for that. This project you've got on screen, More Sandbox, that actually stands for, similar to a course I did at uni, Applied Operational Research. It's maths, operational research, statistics, and economics. And it's really sort of trying to get interest from students in that area to play around with this idea and say, well, actually, there's a lot of mathematical concepts that could be applied to this new kind of economy. And here we've got a platform, Katomia, where you can actually transact both on testnet and on mainnet and run real simulations. And on mainnet you can run live transactions. So you could do little experiments, optimization experiments, use AI agents, and see what comes out. So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely recommend, if this sounds of interest, check it out. Go over to this this repo. I'll tweet about it. I'll do an X post, but it's a really awesome idea, and I'm speaking with some researchers at the London School of Economics who are obviously a Hedera Council member, the ones which Patrick and Tofu took part in the hackathon for a while ago. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of interesting opportunities with that, and definitely recommend, if there's any interest for anyone in here in the audience, to check it out. But yeah, we're almost at the hour mark. Let's just go for a final few sort of quick fire questions to the people here. We'll go back to Effisend. Just one question to you. Well, maybe two. 12 months out from now, what does winning look like for you?
Well, for now, for us, 12 months from now, I mean, for a startup, actually projecting 12 months, it's a lot because you don't know when a startup is going to disappear in a month, maybe. But one of our winnings for us is to actually get bigger in high traffic venues, to expand the operating system, as Luis mentioned, into other venues, not just Japan, but others, to bring more technology into new stadiums, bring technology, bring the power of Hedera and blockchain into these high traffic venues.
So what would a number be on that target? What would that be? Three new venues in 12 months time? That would be amazing. Or is just one good enough? Or is it 10? Is it 10?
For me, I would love to say 10, but in this case, I guess one more will be good enough.
Amazing. Agree with that, Victor?
I think the idea of probably our goal right now is kind of get the contract with Tokyo City, and again that we can discuss too much details about that, but I think if we got that, we basically opened the gates on the Japanese market, because here in Japan, at least in Japan, the mouth-to-mouth companies or deals, etc., are super important. So if you work with one company, normally that company talks to other companies about you, about, oh look, I have this deal with this company, they clock on, but it's more on a trust. Probably it's a trust.
So what's the one thing that you need right now from people like myself at Hashgraph or other people in the room that might be able to help with achieving those targets of signing the contract? I think that's up to you guys, but going beyond that, what can we help with in terms of users, capital, devs, intros?
Well, for now, as you mentioned, first sign the contract, and after that, the community just hit us hard, give us feedback, harsh feedback, because sometimes you just hear like the good feedback, but the harsh feedback makes you grow and makes you push harder and go further. So and
I also set up that email thread with Hashpack, who are also looking into the APAC region. So I think there should be some good opportunities there. And then last question for you guys before we head over back to Apex. What's the biggest risk to your projects right now?
One of the biggest risks we have is that Japan also refuses to blockchain. It's kind of a shady space for them. They don't want to get into it. But technology it's coming, so that's why they redo laws and they got a new legislation. It's just this month they released a new legislation about crypto assets and crypto technologies. So change is coming, but that's also a huge risk.
Perfect. Good stuff. Well, I guess hopefully there are other high density venues in the world as well, which you can go to next. I mean, Madison Square would be a good one, of course.
Will be nice.
Yeah. As would Wembley. Wembley's the best stadium in the world. Okay. Apex Audit. Those same questions to you. 12 months out from now, what does winning look like to you guys?
12 months from now, I think definitely having some clients on board as part of our ARR over the next 12 months, especially in the legal space, because that's our focus area. And we are hedging that against finance side, comparing the friction to adoption and also finding the ideal design partners. So ideally, I have a couple of partners across legal and then early finance-based fintech. And at that like that endpoint, we want to already be courting public sector and institutional finance institutions to take that forward and start adopting our product. So building trust as that compliance layer, because it's a rapidly growing market. It's expected to grow about almost 50% annually. And you have a statistics of about 80% of companies using agentic AI now. Less than 20% of all companies have AI governance figured out. So we want to capture as much of that market as we can do over the next 12 months also. It would be nice if we capture about 15% of that 50, but we'll see how it goes.
Amazing, amazing. What's the one thing you need right now that the room might be able to help with?
I would say some things, and I think Patrick might want to add some onto that. I think it's just great advice as an AI native cracked engineer, design partners, ideal partnership with Hedera, and just having a community of people that support this project, that builds with us, and
So
champion our journey.
You need to have a founding engineer. You need to have a
Yes.
founding engineer. Okay. Maybe we can reach out to the community.
Ideally, warming trust with potential clients as well. I mean, as you said, Jake, the signing on paper that's our job, but getting in the room.
Access. Because I think Hedera's got a deep ecosystem of partners and council members, so access to that would be very, very ideal.
Yeah. You'll have to have a very robust product for the council members, that's for sure.
Yeah,
they won't be so forgiving. Their procurement teams will be very very intense. And then I guess, what's the biggest risk to your project right now?
I would say just access and trust. I think that comes to top of mind. Is like those are the two things that we really need to nail and figure out. Because like you're saying, these are enterprises and they have some level of risk aversion. So what's the ideal level of trust we can be with them and getting access to them to even have those conversations? Those are the two biggest things that keeps up our week.
Yeah, no, definitely right. Well, I think, look, we're slightly over time. It was an absolute pleasure, Effisend team and Apex Audit, and of course Alex as well, representing representing KPay. It's been really great. We've had a very fruitful discussion, and Alex, I hope you're able to catch up with Tofu and Patrick to chat about maybe doing the compliance layer for Katomia. That'd be cool.
Yeah, no, it's great to meet you guys. Happy to stay in touch. Thank you.
Cool. And just final sort of call to action: make sure that you check into the demo day, which is happening in partnership with Hashgraph Ventures. That's going to be happening on Tuesday. Effisend, I know you've booked your meeting with me. Apex Audit, I think if you haven't, book a meeting with me so we can review your pitch, because obviously, Tuesday is going to be the big day where you get to speak to one of the top VCs in our ecosystem. But to everybody watching, make sure you also tune in. It's going to be streamed live, and you're able to see the exciting work that everyone's been doing. Cool. All right then, everyone. Have a great day. Peace out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The need for a more interconnected world is fueling new decentralized technologies and new ways of doing business. Hedera stands at the forefront of distributed ledgers, where every interaction is not only trusted, but fast, efficient, and secure. While traditional blockchains struggle with speed and fees, Hedera's network settles transactions in under 3 seconds for a fraction of a penny. And the proof is in the numbers. Hedera is uniquely governed by a council of the world's leading institutions, ensuring transparency, trust, and decentralization. It's no wonder Hedera is the leading choice for enterprise and DeFi use cases. Everything from real-world asset tokenization to AI data integrity. Discover the only decentralized network with the governance, scalability, and security to power the new digital economy. What future will you build?